Enjoyed it?
Yeah, very much so. You know, A, to be back in the Northeast, and B, to have so many people, all of whom are rooting for you, which is fantastic.
And quite an accolade, as you announced on stage tonight. You said the biggest audience in 20-year history. Now,
Wow.
how many neighbours and friends and relatives from Hartlepool? Come on, tell the truth.
Yeah, they were all there. I told them it was a 3-line whip. They had to be here. But it was fantastic, you know, to see so many people was absolutely brilliant. And I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, Goffy. It was just that it's not an after-dinner speech. You know, it's a university. Hey, although I have an honorary doctorate, not got many letters behind my name apart from that.
Quite a long way from the days of the Hartlepool Mail, and prior to that, standing behind the old rink end or town end, whichever it was, and Radio Tees, which you've spoken about, and it's been a colossal journey.
Yeah, it was always the town end because that was nearest the Mail, and we had to get back to the Mail to put up the old green and, you know, the late night Hartlepool Mail sports version. I think I said tonight, you know, it's been the journey of a lifetime. You still have to pinch yourself and think, I'm so lucky to have got the breaks that I've got to be where I am right now. And the great thing is I come to events, whether it's like this or not, you know, wherever I go, football grounds, fans, people are so kind. And that was the case again this evening, you know, and I've had a fantastic time.
A great reception as well, and a great send-off too. Run us through the career then. Now, in the highlights of all those years, trying to pick out one or two real nuggets of really mean so much to Jeff Stelling.
I mean, the first thing was getting the job at the Hartlepool Mail. I mean, that's the big break, you know. My friends went off to university. I stayed and earned, you know, less than £7 a week at the Hartlepool Mail. Fantastic times. Fantastic. Went on to what was then Radio Tees in Dovecot Street in Stockton. And I mentioned the newsroom there was unbelievable. Mark Mardell, who's the US correspondent for BBC News, now you'll see him every day of the week in the months to come, you know, with the American election race. He was there. John Andrew, who's been a, you know, top news correspondent for the BBC for a long time. People like Kent Barker, Diana Goodman, Libby Forbert, they all went on to work for Radio 4. It was an unbelievable newsroom. Unbelievable. And I learnt so much from those guys. And then obviously I made the move to London, got a few breaks, and eventually ended up at Sky. And having done Sports Saturday, you know, the sports show with no sport, got the chance to do Soccer Saturday, the soccer show with no soccer. So it's worked brilliantly well, you know. And there's one recurring man who, right throughout the run, if you like, there's a guy called Vic Wakeling who I worked for the old Square Reel people, BSB, and then took me on again at Sky and gave me my chances, and he was honoured in the last Queen's Honours and things like that. So I'm glad I didn't set him back too far. You know, he was my mentor, if you like, which I you know, I'll never forget.
You kicked off talking about the Hartlepool Mail as one of your great memories, and football for you is great. Whenever I talk, you talk with a great passion about the first promotion winning team and the players involved in there, and then you talk about Willie Waddle and Darlington, and that night we all remember Will and Ashurst. Some great memories and great players and great times for you all together there then.
I mean, right through the years, you know, I can... You know, you can pick out so many great games. I mean, I remember going in the FA Cup, standing on the terraces at Bramall Lane where we lost 1-0. And I went with the late Helen Rollison, who just come along for the ride, really. We performed fantastically well, and people like Paul Baker, you know, I mean, the club's given me so much pleasure, and hopefully will in years to come. You see, I haven't seen Luke James. I've seen clips of him, and I've seen the praise that he's received, and I hope the future is glorious for him. But obviously, I've seen the James Browns of this world, and the Tony Sweeneys, and, you know, Richie Humphreys, a million others. They're a good set of boys, and they continue the tradition. And what the great thing I think now is, and I hope I'm not wrong here, we're established. We are established as a force to be reckoned with in League One. Spin back a few years, that's beyond our wildest dreams, you know. So let's not get too carried away. In our dreams we can do, but let's give Neil a chance. He's a top man. Glad to see him back and see what happens.
Yeah, most definitely, because I was talking to you last summer. I remember it well because we were bringing Neil Cooper back home for a get-together and a reunion, meet the fans. And I rang you and I says, what do you reckon about Neil Cooper? You know, what's your memories of Neil Cooper? And you were massively singing his praises.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Goffy, you know, I had my doubts about bringing him back again because they do say never go back. You know, so I wondered, and I knew there were some good candidates in there for the job. I knew there were some good candidates. You know, Taddy's great attributes. He put an arm around people in Harry Redknapp fashion, and he can bring the best out of them. Some people are great tacticians, and some people are great man managers. And Neil Cooper's a great man manager, and you can see the vibrancy and the joy and the pleasure that, you know, he's already brought back to the club. And yeah, I'm delighted for the club. I'm delighted for him as well, because he's had a tough time over a few years. So it's great that he's back.
And there's an unsung hero tonight, because you did mention something on stage there, which I thought, good point. You were talking about the time you were in Hartlepool and you received a present. You were opening up I think it was somewhere in Rift House, you were opening up and somebody went out. Tell us a story.
I went to open a sort of preschool building, and as I went in, it was an awful day on Rift House Estate, an awful day, pouring with rain, and I saw a guy in I think it was a Blue Beetle, just sitting outside the car park, nothing more than that. And then I went out, and I was probably 2 or 3 hours in there. And when I came out, the Blue Beetle was still there. As I got out to get in my car, he leapt out, and you know, he had a package in his arms, and he just said to me, "Hey Jeff," he said, "use this, give us all a laugh." And when I got home and unwrapped it, it was James Brown. It was the James Brown doll. And of course, James was, of course, you know, in his pomp at that time. No cruciate injuries, and absolutely flying. I took it back down to the office that Saturday, snuck into the studio with him before the rehearsals started. Well, not have much rehearsals, but before they started, before the gang were in. And James Brown duly scored that day, and I was able to bring the doll out, and the looks on the faces of the guys was just wonderful, you know. Now, I don't know who he is. I mean, I really don't know who he is, but it was a fantastic gift. Hopefully, we've done what he asked us to do and given a lot of people a lot of pleasure and a lot of fun with that James Brown doll.
We must find him.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was a great, great gesture. I should tell him, by the way, and everybody else, that poor old James is suffering from a broken arm at the moment. But it's just the doll, thank goodness, and not the player.
All right. Listen, I know it's been an immense night for you tonight. You've got to go on and meet some more friends as well. But just finally tell us the future for Jeff, because there's the book, there's the TV series, the award after award each and every year. Countdown, which you left, and you wanted to go and pursue other things to do. So what next? What's further down the road? What's 2012 bring for Jeff?
Not too sure. A bit more relaxed, hopefully. Obviously, we've got Champions League this season. Not as many English clubs through as we'd hoped, you know, to this stage. But whatever, we'll follow them. And I'll be doing the Champions League final in Munich in May, which is great. I've got another book coming out in April the 26th. It's called Jeff and Ori. It's a collection of offbeat football stories, if you like. There are some fantastic stories in there. Stories that from around the world, but mainly British, that you may have missed, probably have missed during the course of the year, and hopefully that'll bring a smile to people's face. Paul, my main ambition is to carry on presenting Soccer Saturday to the best of my ability for as long as I humanly possibly can, because as I've told you before, it is the best job in the world.